all of this stuff.
Okay,
Okay.
so let's go ahead and I'm going to go back and recap since you just started recording. I'm going to go back
Yeah,
and
thank
recap
you.
what we just did.
Thank you.
I did call the meeting to order. I believe it was 3:21. I asked for public comment. There was no public comment. Um, I didn't make any opening comments. We went through the agenda, which is independent study update for short-term and ADA recovery, instructional minutes, board policy updates for AR alcohol and drugs and board policy alcohol and drugs and bullying. And then we're looking at setting future agenda items. We did already cover the independent study update where we went over the short-term independent study contract that has been updated. Paula shared that that is has been put into place at schools, at school sites. She's getting feedback on that from school site staff, and we will continue to get updates on that process as it gets rolled out. And I did ask for school sites to be trained with the same information so that those contracts and independent study practices are the same across the district to make it easier for families. So that's where we're at. And now we are talking about instructional minutes, and we are looking at the spreadsheet of instructional minutes and how it relates to the days that Vasquez High School was closed um, for the power being out. So, Paula, what you said was that Vasquez High School requires 64,800 minutes per year, correct?
Yes.
And with everything, we are ending the year, even with those days off, we're ending the year with 64,810 minutes. So we are not
Yes.
in a deficit, even though we took those days off. Our students received what they're required to receive. Is that
Yeah,
correct?
because it's not going to count against them because there was a waiver because that was out of our control.
Okay, so that wasn't really my question.
Right. So they
Our
didn't, so
students did not receive six
no,
64,810
no,
minutes. They received less than that, but then got a waiver.
yes.
Okay. So that is an issue that I don't think I don't see how we can tell kids at on May 20th that they're going to have to stay for 3 extra days in June. I don't see how we could tell students, families, and staff that. So I would agree with you that that would be a logistical nightmare. Moving forward, I would like our next agenda item and to be a recurring agenda item until we have something set in stone of a plan so this does not happen again.
Okay, so with that said, and I'll just put on here the learning continuity plan. So the state requires as of July 1st, so you'll have a board presentation on this soon, called a learning continuity plan that has to be added to your district as well as your site safety plans, your comprehensive safety plans. And that continuity, that learning continuity plan addresses exactly this question. And the expectation is that so in the event of an emergency like this, or a fire, or anything that keeps kids from being able to come to school, that within 10 days, the district is up and running and providing students that their education. So it would be online, right? Kids couldn't come to school. And so what we're working on right now is one, creating that. But what our first thoughts are on that, and we're collaborating on that, is one, creating curriculum for students online that's ready and up to go, like that's ready to go. So if for some reason we had a shutdown like we did in COVID, we have 10 days of instructional materials online for students in every grade level, K through 12. And then in the meantime, and this is something we have to talk about as a district. What is it if we have to go to online instruction like we did during COVID? How are we going to support teachers to provide that instruction? And we would have those 10 days to work with our teachers, for example, what I've seen other districts do is they use Canva. We used Google. So we would spend the next couple of days working with our teachers, providing professional development on how they're going to deliver engaging online and standards-based instruction online. And then the teachers would have those next 10 days, they'd have that 2 weeks to get those lessons, like really work on their lessons and get that planning going so that at the end of that 10 days, they're up and ready with their class to provide the online instruction. They may start it sooner, but
So
what we're going to put in place will look something like that. It's in the preliminary, and so I'm just giving you what it might look like that, but what it might look like. However, it's a collaboration. So I gave you what it could look like, but it is going to look something like that. So
okay,
we're already also discussing like how would we get those Chromebooks into kids' hands? Kids would need to have one-on-one. What
okay,
about
so
kids who
what I think we're missing the mark. That's if we're going like if there's a major fire like down in the Palisades and schools can't reopen. A
Mhm,
school burns down, can't reopen.
mhm,
If we I think where we're missing the mark is if when school is closed for 2 days because of a power outage, when school is closed for 5 days because of a power outage, limiting ourselves to an online curriculum isn't going to cut it when we're looking at power outages. We don't have a generator at my house. It would not work for my kids. I don't have internet at my house. It would
mhm.
not work for my kids. So I would like to broaden that to how can we, yes, let's look at the online because that might work for some kids, but that will not work for all.
Right.
So let's broaden that. There were a couple days where, or at least the one day where the power was out at Vasquez, but you opened um, the site and allowed kids to work in the NPR, again with no power or anything. What I would like to look at is if our other school sites do have power, how can we accommodate the students that do want to come in? Because there were kids that did want to come in and they did want to stay and they wanted to be on campus doing work. We have to be real clear that there are some times on campus at school is the best place for our students to be. It's
Agreed.
where they're comfortable. That's where they are going to get food. They're going to have a warm classroom. So we can't open a school when it's, 30 degrees out and we have no way to heat it. But we need to be looking at where we can house students at other sites. If all of our sites are closed, then that obviously won't work. But
Yeah.
I would love to have some kind of a contingency. If Vasquez is closed, this is what we're going to do. If Vasquez and High Desert are closed, this is what we can do. If Meadowlark is closed, if, and have a contingency for all those ifs. So we know, hey, Vasquez is closed today. We have 35 seats at High Desert in an open classroom. We're going to house over there. Or if we have more kids that want to come, let's open up the NPR for students and we'll use the back of the NPR for Vasquez and we will ask teachers to open their classrooms to do lunch times. There's so many different, what if this, we can do that.
Right. So
Um,
those scenarios, agreed. Though I would, and we've actually talked about that in cabinet. And I
I
think
just don't
that,
want to limit ourselves to online.
yeah,
Online
I
is not
agree. Like
always the answer.
that was just one example, and I'm taking note. Like I agree. We already talked about like if one school is closed, could kids go to the other school? And we already talked about teachers actually. I think that was, I don't know exactly because I don't know everything that's going on with bargaining, but I know there's been conversation about where teachers would report if their school was closed.
Mhm.
So I think that we'll have more information on that as well. But yes, those would be pieces of it. There would be several scenarios based on a situation. The online
Of
one
course,
would
we're
be
not
like if
going to
we,
think about everything, but we need to think about what we've already been through
yeah,
and at least come up with answers for those and then think about our other what ifs and develop answers for those and make sure everybody knows.
yeah,
So usually we know like Vasquez is out, the power's out, and I know that because I live right next door, but my friend over there that lives next to Meadowlark, their power's on. So usually the town knows what's happening and who's out of power. And
yeah.
we just need to get those those out and like they can go online and say, okay, if Vasquez is out, what's the plan for school tomorrow? Let's go look at that plan that they came up with. That's what I would love to have before the next school year starts.
We will have that before the next school year starts. And again, it will be a living document. So as we're creating it, we also can make changes that work for whatever scenarios come up. And we'll need to address communication in that plan as well, because
Absolutely.
there were times we didn't know if Vasquez was going to be open in the morning. So how are we communicating? And so we're really just explicit about what the expectation is of how we're communicating and who gets that communication. So that will be part of the plan as well.
Mhm.
And again, I'm sure that the board and the team will be part of the collaboration as far as just helping all of us work together on creating the best plan for our kids. So
Absolutely. And
like it,
if we need to do more ed subcommittee um meetings in there, so we're not waiting for a month to chit chat about it. But I would like for the ed subcommittee to be a big part of that. So if we need to add some extra meetings or um maybe not official ed subcommittee meetings, but some planning meetings in the middle, I don't want you guys to be waiting like, oh, well, we can't do it because we haven't hit a board meeting or an ed subcommittee meeting. Let's put this on hold. If we need to get it going, let's get it going.
again, it'll be a living document, but it has to be created and board approved before July 1st. And so we normally would do it through the
Yeah, so
safety
don't wait for that.
committee. So we don't necessarily have to do the subcommittee. I just invite the subcommittee members to the safety committee. And I can ask Yolanda to make those advertise them so that we can get community input.
Mhm.
So community members can also attend the meetings and
Absolutely.
hear like, hey, this is what we're thinking, and get the input like you're sharing right now. Because that's
Yes.
how you create the best plans, is by having all the input. So you just get a better
Yeah,
understanding of what the needs are.
absolutely. I'm glad we're on the same page for that.
Yeah, definitely. Definitely.
Are there any other comments regarding the instructional minutes?
Look, the sun. Thank you.
Not at this time. Sorry.
That's okay.
I'm just taking a couple notes.
Okay, so we'll move on to the board policy updates.
So these board policies were submitted to the facility, was it the policies committee? Yeah, and they just asked that I forward them here. So the first one is an AR and alcohol and other drug use, and the board policy that goes along with that. The main change on this, as it relates to any changes in the law, is the law in Ed Code now reads that if a student comes to you that's over 12 years old and tells you that they have a substance abuse problem, they're self-medicating, and they're coming to you for help, you can't suspend them. So as an update to our own board policy, that's the major change in that.
Okay,
And as it relates to bullying, there really aren't any major changes. It's just we haven't updated our bullying policy in a long time, so we just wanted to bring it up to date. But as far as Ed Code, there aren't really any major changes. From policies, Jackie, did you have anything to add that I might have?
No, it was just so that because it affects ed services, we wanted to be sure to bring it to you so that everyone was aware
Yeah,
before we put it
thank
to
you.
you. That's all.
awesome. And then we'll just see this in a future board meeting.
Yes.
As a first read. Mhm.
Awesome. Thank you
And
very much.
I connected all, like if you have the agenda, and if you don't, I'll be happy to email it to you.
Yeah.
All of these items I linked to the agenda, so for your review.
Mhm.
I mean, the board policy has a lot of really good information as it relates to just the way that we run things and the why we run things a certain way in a school district, because it really lays out kind of what the parameters and the expectations are for districts.
All right, thank you for that. Are there any questions on the board policy updates, comments?
None in the room? Any online?
No.
Okay.
That was a no.
Okay, so future meeting agenda items. It's so distracting because I can see my face that's really big on your wall. I know, it's just ginormous. Like,
You can see it on the screen over there.
yeah, I can see.
Oh, and I'm looking here, so I'm not even seeing it.
Sorry.
Oh, so there's the back of
Now
my
it's
head,
you.
so you're seeing that too.
Um,
No.
okay. So, future meeting agenda items. We have 10 minutes before we need to move on so you can do the finance committee. So I already said that we wanted to talk about the plans, the
The
different
learning
plans,
continuity plan.
the learning continuity plans. Awesome.
And then, and I'm gonna ask Dr. Sahakian, because would it be okay at the next ed subcommittee meeting to review the iReady data with the committee? Because I know it's gonna be part of a board presentation,
Yes, I mean,
and also maybe any preliminary, LPAC data.
no, absolutely. I think the more we hear it, the more we could process, the progress students are making through iReady K-8 would be helpful. So, we'll have it here as part of a discussion item, if the committee agrees, as well as a board presentation for our strategic plan update.
Yeah, yours might actually come first.
You might.
But so what I'm proposing in addition to the learning continuity plan is one day, I mean, I'd love to actually tell you right now, but just to update you on our LPAC and our LPAC progress towards redesignating students and what our data is, because we actually have all of our data back. And how we're going to celebrate students and staff around that. And then we also have a lot of preliminary SBAC data, which I haven't looked at, but prior to our next meeting, I would love to just give you a little synopsis of what that data is indicating to us as it relates to our next steps with school starting in August, which is really great because normally we didn't used to get this data till like December. But this data is available now.
Yeah, that's crazy that it's available now.
Yeah, it's great.
Kind of cool.
So I haven't, and it started coming in May 15th, so I'm waiting till it's all in there. I think our LPAC stuff is all in there, and then just an iReady and just an overview of the growth for our students in reading and math as it relates to the diagnostic for iReady.
Okay. And then if we could also just start, so we'll just start with the independent study update. I would love to have an update after you speak with site staff. And just an update of how they're doing, how they're feeling about it, where they're going to go with that.
Okay.
And making sure that they've received the same information across the board. And then the update with the instructional minutes, or no, sorry, not the instructional minutes, the plan, and then all that good stuff. That would be great. So the
Okay.
next meeting's going to be a whole bunch of updates.
So are we meeting? So June, just the third Tuesday, will we just go ahead and meet in the summer?
Are you guys all,
We're here.
I mean,
Principals may not be here, but we're here.
okay, we
But-
can still meet because we're still having board meetings then, right? So we have,
June 12th and June 26th.
Okay, so our next meeting then will be that third Tuesday of June, which is June
26th.
24th. Well, for not board meeting,
Oh, sorry.
subcommittee
Yeah,
meeting.
Tuesday before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's the Tuesday
third?
before. Yeah, so that'd be June 24th. It's the Tuesday before the June 26th board meeting.
we meet on the third Tuesday, right?
Yeah,
We have
Did I
the 3rd, the 10th, and the 17th.
wait. Hold on, let me look at the month. June. So. Oh, 1, 2, oh, you're right. There's extra week. So do you want, we can do the 17th. That's actually the 3rd if we want to be consistent. Is that okay? Or do you want to do a board meeting week? I'm looking at Eric.
Whatever the subcommittee.
I'm okay
Seems
with staying
appropriate.
with the 3rd. I like the consistency of, so we're the
Third
third
Tuesday.
Tuesday. So it's
Yeah.
June 17th. I just can't count to 3, so thank you for that. Okay, and we'll do 3 o'clock again, 3 to 4 p.m.
Okay. Awesome.
All right, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Great
Thanks for
meeting.
coming, Tracy and Michelle. Bye, guys.
Thank
I
you.
appreciate you guys in the office. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank
See ya.